Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Big Mukbang Theory. I'm KT, and today we are cooking. We are making the best lasagna you have ever tasted in your life. It's an old recipe from Italy, made by my grandmother, and it is tasty and you will not believe it. And when I say it's got that pow, it's got all the flavors and richness of a great Italian meal. So let's go over our list of ingredients. First, you need a pound of sweet Italian sausage or medium flavored Italian sausage, a pound of lean ground beef, one large onion that you gotta slice up. Unfortunately, you're gonna have some tears making this dish, but you're gonna be crying for happiness, not sadness. You need some crushed garlic. You need some crushed tomatoes, a 28-ounce can of that. You need some tomato paste. You need some tomato sauce, and you need chicken broth, along with fresh basil, oregano, salt, black pepper, an egg, nutmeg, mozzarella cheese, and Parmesan cheese, and your lasagna noodles. Oh yeah, and let me not forget ricotta cheese. We gotta have that. So let's get started. So let's start off by making our sauce. In a large pot on medium heat, add in your ground sausage and ground beef. Use a spoon, preferably a wooden spoon, so you can get that old Italian feel, like you're in an old Italian kitchen, and use that wooden spoon to break up the meat into small pieces. And then once you've browned that meat and you see it start to brown and you can smell it cooking up, then you add in your onion and your garlic. And once you've added in that, you cook the meat until it's really browned. You don't want to have undone meat. You want to make sure that the meat is done before you start adding it in and getting to the oven phase of the recipe. Then stir in your fresh basil, then add pepper. Next, you'll stir in your chicken broth, just a half cup, because the juices from the meat and the onions, as they cook down, will make more water in the dish. So you don't want to have too much liquid in the pan, and this will ensure that you don't do that. And then pour in 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes. And then you can add 2 cans of tomato sauce and 1 can of tomato paste. Now, once you've stirred in all of your ingredients, reduce your heat down to low and simmer for about 30 to 45 minutes. Now, while that's simmering, you want to deal with the lasagna noodles. One way to speed up the process with your lasagna noodles is to place them in a pot of water so they can start to soften and get prepared to be layered in the dish. So what I do is I take the pan that I'm going to cook the lasagna, whether it's a glass pan or whether it's an aluminum pan. So you'll place the noodles in the pan with hot water, as hot as you can get out of the faucet, submerge them into the water, and you let them sit. Let them stay there about 30 minutes, and then they'll be ready for you when you start to combine all of your other ingredients to make your lasagna. The other thing you need to do is deal with your ricotta cheese mix. So to make the ricotta cheese mix that you'll need, you get a large mixing bowl and you combine your 30 ounces of ricotta cheese with 1 egg. Just 1 egg, not 2, not 3, not 4, 1 egg. Then you'll add in salt and a teaspoon of nutmeg. You can sit this aside or you can refrigerate it. It doesn't matter because by now your sauce is simmering and you're almost at your 45-minute mark, 30 to 45-minute mark of simmering your sauce. Last thing you need to do before you put your dish together is preheat your oven. My choice is 375 degrees. So now you've got your noodles, you've got your ricotta cheese mix, you've got your sauce simmering. Now it's time to put this dish together to make the best lasagna you've ever tasted. And I'm talking about slap your mama, not your grandma, slap your mama goodness. Let's start putting all this together. To start off, spread about a cup of the meat sauce in the bottom of the pan. Maybe a cup and a half. You want to put enough sauce in the bottom of the pan to cover the bottom of the pan. It doesn't have to be thick, just enough to cover it so that your noodles don't stick to the bottom of the pan, because then it gets messy. Once you've put that first layer of sauce into the pan, then it's time to add your first layer of noodles. So side by side and somewhat on top of one another so you can cover the lower level of sauce in the pan. Once you've done your first layer of noodles, then you want to add your first layer of ricotta cheese. Now, some people like to measure this out, but I just like to feel it out and cover the noodles as much as I can on the first layer. That bottom layer, I think, is the most important when you're spreading your ricotta cheese to cover these noodles, because that's going to bake in the most. You know, the stuff on top, you know, when you bite into something, it's the bottom, the deepest part of the dish that you get the most flavor from. So you really want to make sure that this is your best layer of ricotta cheese. And then once you've done that, then you top it with mozzarella cheese. The sliced cheese that you can get from the deli, which is where I get it from, you can add those slices on top of that layer of ricotta cheese. Now, after that initial tri-layer of ingredients, you will spoon in another cup to a cup and a half of sauce over the mozzarella. And as I said, no measuring cups here. Just sprinkle with Parmesan cheese to your liking. I usually like to see things covered in its entirety because I'm imagining those flavors coming through and baking into the dish. So I want to make sure that it's covered well. You can make your own choices, but I like to use a heavy hand because that's what Italian cooking is all about. It's about flavor, it's about richness. Then you just repeat that process 2 or 3 or however many more times based on the size and the depth of your dish. And you want to do this so that the last layer you have is mozzarella and Parmesan. Once you've got all your layers in place, cover your dish with aluminum foil, toss it into the oven, and now it's just time to wait. I usually bake this dish for about 45 to 50 minutes, depending on your oven. And you also have to remember that after about 20 to 25 minutes, you're going to remove the aluminum foil from the dish and let it bake uncovered for the remaining time. That will allow the cheese to be browned on top and give it that classic brown, delicious look. And since this is lasagna and it was meant to be served hot, when it comes out of the oven, you don't have to wait for cooling time. You want to serve this hot. So pop it on the plate, and that completes our meal. The best tasting lasagna you've ever had. Well, I hope you liked the recipe. This lasagna recipe was passed down now from my family to yours. So enjoy it. Enjoy the family times and all the great family meals you're going to have by making this dish. And I'll see you next time on the Big Mukbang Theory. Hawaiian cheeseburgers. Paya!